Historically speaking, at what point did we collectively decide that playing mind games was a better alternative to just plainly asking someone out? See? And you guys were somehow blaming my post for why Ask Men got locked. Story 1. It has always been like this. The simplest system was when your parents would arrange a marriage for you. Don't get fooled by classic movies. Dating has been like this for pretty much forever. Story 2. I think not directly asking out just tends to reflect a lack of confidence or fear of rejection. Asking directly isn't uncommon. Personally, I can't handle ambiguity, so it's always a direct yes or no when it comes to asking about a date for me, and I require the same in return too. Story 3. Generally, my method is to find someone I like, ask them out, not sleep for a few days beforehand, get incredibly nervous, act like an awkward wooden plank on the date, and not go on a second one because she thinks I'm weird or boring. Who needs mind games when you're just a moron? Story 4. That's not just about dating, but everything about society. The world is like a crazy circus, filled with rules that people cannot even logically explain. I wonder how others can easily learn or remember all of them when I have to spend my entire life alone because I not only consider all those rules boring and stupid, but can't even remember them all or understand their meaning. Story 5. People are trying to save work for themselves by making some proxy rules that not everyone else needs. Why talk things out and listen to one another when you can make various aspects of dating harder than they need to be? Story 6. I think the internet had a massive part to do with that. Also, just simple texting. The internet and dating apps have widened the dating pool so much that it's seemingly endless. People are much quicker to think, there's always something better. Also, when it comes to dating now, most people have a lot of other potential partners orbiting around them. Story 7. The internet made many people believe that they have more options than they actually do, and immature individuals become spoiled for choice. Social media has also made people delusional about what is truly out there. Much of it is fake. Broke people appear rich and overweight individuals appear fit. Interest in the digital form of likes and engagement gives a false sense of value. Story 8. People who write books on dating usually write more than one. If the first one works, why does anybody need another? The simple fact is they make twice as much if you fail than if you succeed. Even if they are nice people and want to help, it's against their best interests. Story 9. Yo dude, if you're dating someone and they're messing with your mind, then consider finding someone better. Women aren't sold like cattle anymore, and that's a good thing, but that doesn't mean you have to roll over and take it if someone is treating you disrespectfully. If you're constantly stressed out because of a girl, you might need to look elsewhere for companionship. Story 10. Today it is simpler. You can actually just ask someone out. For most of history, it wasn't like that. You had to court not just a person but her family as well. The difference is that, in the past, the endgame and the consequences were better understood. Back then, sex led to children most of the time. Half the old folk songs are about flirting, there are elaborate folk dating practices, and secret love languages all over the world. Old stories from different cultures are full of lovers, cheaters, sex, rape, and revenge. Story 11. Men and women's expectations are more absurd than ever. Films and the culture of instant gratification, like next-day deliveries and pizzas in 20 minutes, have us believe that sparks must fly immediately for it to be love and for the relationship to last. Celebrity obsession, advertising, and media in general lead to unrealistic body expectations. No, you're probably not going to date someone super hot or with curvy or ripped abs. Get over it and set your sights on your own level of physicality. If you're overweight, chances are you're not going to date someone super skinny and hot. Multiple dating sites make it easier than ever to just dump someone for someone else or grab hold of another branch before letting go of the current one. You can find a date while on the toilet instead of going out to find someone. People date up, not down. Stay in your lane. If all you're getting are unstable individuals, broken women, or people you don't find attractive, it's time to check the bottom of your shoes and reevaluate yourself and your expectations. Story 12. Tragedy of the Commons. We would all be better off being honest, but liars get more sex and validation, which spoils it for everyone, forcing us all to lie to keep up. Story 13. Dating was more complicated in the past. Read Jane Austen. I think her books are pretty informative for men. For that matter, read Shakespeare, who is often considered the most accurate portrayal of the human condition. Dating in the West has always been very complicated. Be glad you only have to deal with the difficulty of individuals. If you were trying to date 70 or more years ago, you would be worrying about their family and many traditions too. Story 14. George Westinghouse met his future wife on a train in 1867. After a brief conversation, he noted her address and sent her 3 letters of recommendation to attest to his good character, hoping to pursue a relationship with Marguerite Erskine Walker. Compare this to a current courtship pursuit of a text message asking, "Yo, we should hang out this weekend," which seems more complicated. Story 15. Nobody is blunt anymore. I don't know if it's because people are more sensitive or what. Maybe because of social media we are all more afraid of social rejection. Just ask her out. Be blunt and direct. If she says no, move on. Honestly, if you're too scared to ask her out, it's probably because you don't know what you would do with her anyway. Story 16. I have a feeling that once COVID-19 has had its day, things are going to change and norms will go out the window. People will begin to realize that life is too short and take more chances on themselves and others. And while not downplaying the tragedy of it, that is one good thing I can see arising out of the pandemic. Story 17. Technology, especially over the past 10 years or so, when online dating really took off, has provided so many options. Pick up your phone and you can choose between hundreds of people. You can keep multiple people on the line, interacting a little bit here and there, weighing them against one another. I'm sorry, I'm busy this weekend means, while I enjoyed coffee, I'm seeing another 3 people this weekend, and I'll get back to you next week when I've decided who I want to see again. When they don't get back to you, sorry buddy, a better option came up. Story 18. Probably about 1,000,000 years ago, based on the fossil record, our brains became the products of runaway sexual selection. We needed bigger minds to play the social game better. The only way to opt out of the game is to behave profoundly antisocially, which is the appeal of being the bad guy. Become someone like Genghis Khan if you can. Opportunities for global conquest are slim, so you might choose a life of crime, enslaving and trafficking humans. This could include violent acts such as forcibly taking a woman. Being a villain is about seeking revenge on the mating game itself. Of course, I am assuming that the evil route doesn't work for you, and like all decent people, you are stuck playing the game. Well, you could always consider a radical option like Arjen did. Please don't do that. Story 19. People have always had the same struggles. It's just that now it's magnified because of the internet. We can all come to this forum and talk about how rough dating is. So it seems like everyone in real life is experiencing it too. But also, we just have more options now. Women aren't marriage property to be sold off to the highest bidder anymore and don't need men for financial reasons. Plus, with social media, online dating, and easier transportation, we can all heighten our standards, which can make it harder to date because, again, options. Our grandparents didn't have options like we do. Story 20. I think you're overlooking a big notion. Not everyone playing mind games wants to date. Your question assumes that all dating is done with the intention of getting into a relationship and going further. But people do want casual sex, where the express purpose is to make the other person like you enough to want to sleep with you, and that's where mind games come into play and are usually very effective. Obviously, the same will leak into dating as well, and then it could seem like the typical version of dating, namely dating to be in a relationship, is being corrupted by people too busy playing mind games. Story 21. When other dudes just started giving the women what they wanted, as Megan Thee Stallion put it, I got another dude that's going to do it if he doesn't. Don't get lost in the sauce, boys. You are the prize. Story 22. Men and women just stopped trusting each other, one betrayal at a time. Anyone with half a brain cell fears the opposite sex like a piano held over their head, yet feels inexorably drawn to them. I think if you were to go to a forum for women and scroll down far enough, you'd see a pretty similar question. In summary, girls have flaws. We have flaws too. Still interested. Story 23. Honestly, at the moment, it seems to be largely due to a misunderstanding of what dating apps are for. Dating apps are for arranging dates, not for dating. The distinction is important. People, mainly women, seem to use dating apps to get to know you instead of just arranging a date and getting to know the person for real in person. Unfortunately, you can't actually sense chemistry through text, and nobody can be super interesting, original, and charming all the time. So, the second the conversation gets stale, they think the person is stale, and a date doesn't happen, and away goes the match. So yeah, arrange dates on dating apps. Don't date through dating apps. Feel? Story 24. Because everyone tries to go by online guidance from websites like BuzzFeed, when in reality there is no how to unlove. No set guidance. Everyone is different and has different relationships with people. It is a case-by-case basis. Just go with what you feel. Story 25. I asked someone out directly. I am a woman too. It worked out amazingly for me. We are still dating. I even stated up front that I don't play mind games, I take this seriously, I don't do hookups, and I like you. He was like, I feel the same way. So there you go. Story 26. It probably happened around the time that people learned physical appearance was not enough and that people could lie about their non-physical traits. If you have to jump through hoops, it makes it harder and more costly for liars. Story 27. Dating is a bond just like chemistry. There are dynamics, compatibilities, and results that stem from trying to make ideal chemicals and sustainable reactions. It is a more complicated science than you might think. The science of emotional chemistry is a science we will be seeing in the near future. Story 28. I suspect dating has become more complex because much of the world has changed recently. The internet exists now, many of us are crowded in cities, but it's hard to socialize with friends, let alone meet someone new. My parents met at a camp and wrote letters from different countries for years before marriage after college. This world is different from their time, so we have to figure out how to do something that people have been doing forever. Get to know a person, enjoy their company, respect each other, and be honest with yourself and them. Know yourself and them. Cross your fingers and good luck. Story 29. Just ask them out. If they are not interested, thank them for their time and move on. There are billions of different girls in the world. If you get rejected, move on. Everyone has been there and you will forget them in a few days. Then try it again. What this will do is increase your confidence, which is attractive, and teach you that rejection is fine and natural, which is also attractive. Law of averages. If you never do anything, you will never get past it. Also, get offline dating. It is toxic. Story 30. Last 3 girls I've tried talking to over the course of 4 months all gave me the exact same punchline. Hey, I have major anxiety and depression, so you're probably never going to meet me? Like ever. Despite trying to make calm and cheerful conversations with them. Proceeds to see them on Facebook posting pictures of themselves with a dozen men commenting how cute they are and them happily responding to them all. I've come to think that social media has dominated and ruined dating in many ways a lot of us are not quite understanding yet. But 3 are definitely dopamine addiction, social isolation, and causing people to become desensitized to each other. That's just my opinion, though. Edit. Met one of my loves off of Meet Me 5 years ago. Dated for 4 years. Simply asked her if she wanted to date, and she said yes. Doesn't seem to happen that way anymore. Nowadays, it definitely feels like rocket science. Story 31. When the internet came along, thousands upon thousands of guys started liking and loving every picture of a girl on the internet. Now we have mass confusion. Girls who are a 6 now think they are a solid 9 because eager guys won't leave them alone. This has evolved to the point where any guy under a 7 is pretty much at a disadvantage because girls think they all deserve a 10 in the ranking system. Story 32. When we became guarded and selfish, I think the internet is a big factor. Before, you would ask someone out and you might not see them again for a long time. But now you can talk constantly and find people easily. Story 33. Have you heard of the Ton, Britain's high society during the late Regency period? Thousands of books have been written about the courting and dating games played during the era. Playing games is nothing new. Story 34. My solution was to not play the game. People are insecure and do not want to be rejected, so they do their little dance. To hell with that. Be the person who is not playing the game. Story 35. For some reason, I thought the women on dating apps might be more straightforward during the pandemic, and boy was I wrong. One woman was unemployed and living at her mom's house. She also had mental issues like bipolar depression. Cute blonde with similar interests, though. Another woman was barely getting by and was a single mom of 2 kids. That is already a deal killer. They weren't exactly good picks, but I was interested in seeing if they would put forth more effort. Nope. I gave up on dating apps and online afterwards. Moreover, I'm arrogant to say I am a special snowflake. I am child-free and don't want any pets. I love the cold and don't care much for the outdoors. I don't see the appeal of hiking or camping or traveling, unless it's for an event. And you know what? That's fine because it feels really nice and stress-free not dealing with someone else. None of the game playing with whether or not she will actually show up on the date or if she will text back. If more guys were less eager and became more picky, dating would become a whole different experience, I bet. Or just wait for sex robots.